got a real special guest, and this person, to be honest with y'all, he really needs no introduction. If you're in tune to what's going on with Dallas Cowboys content, this YouTube thing, Dallas Cowboys media, he is one of my favorites to watch, man. I learned so much from this gentleman, man. Very knowledgeable, smooth, the voice, the beard, everything, man. So more than welcome. I want to welcome my guy, Law Nation. What's going on, bro?
My goodness, let's go Cowboy Nation one way or another, man. Hey, we finna put the FU in fun because that's how we do it, man. We finna have a good time, great off season. I can't believe all of the good stuff that we're hearing, even from the pundits, man. So right. I know this is gonna be a good year.
Right. It's starting to feel that way, man. And let me ask you this, Law. So going into the draft, right, to after the draft, to where we currently stand, how you feel as far as your comfort level, how the Dallas Cowboys have handled this offseason?
Oh, well, as far as just the draft.
Right.
I was worried at first. And if anybody watched the marathons that I was doing, I was worried at first. But then when everything came into place and then we got a chance to see the complete picture, and I sit back and said, man, this team is brilliant. Now we start to look at the individual guys, and I started looking at their film, and I give hats off to Jerry Wayne and John Stephen Jones and Will McClay and all of those boys, Chris Hall and all of those boys.
Yeah. Like I said, I had the same sentiments, bro. Like when I was sitting back, if y'all watched our draft show, I wasn't happy, man. But it was like right. We had to sit back and really look back and see what is Dan Quinn doing with this defense. And as you mentioned, the ingredients, right? Because sometimes, you've had guests over your house and they might be cooking or barbecuing. Like, bro, what kind of seasoning are you putting on there? And that's how I felt when I was watching this draft. Like, okay, what are you doing? But actually seeing what Dan Quinn is. Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit too much salt you put in there. But yeah, actually seeing what Dan Quinn is wanting to do and actually hearing from Dan Quinn, once I kind of heard from him in the post-draft conference, I'm like, okay, he was going for size. He was going for length. He was going for physicality and speed, different things which we didn't have in-house. And so we're at the point where we have to let him cook. And so, like I said, I'm more optimistic now seeing what Dan Quinn is going to be to the table. So I want to dive into Dan Quinn. What is your thoughts on Dan Quinn? Because we're already seeing players from the standpoint of we heard Randy Gregory speak about it. We heard Anthony Brown speak about it. Like they're having fun. He's a teacher. He's a hands-on coach. So what are your thoughts on Dan Quinn and what you're hearing thus far?
Two of the major words that you just said, teacher and hands-on coach. Those are the two elements of, hey, he didn't get a chance to do that in Atlanta land.
Right.
So now if we could just look at Dan Quinn, the teacher and the hands-on guy, and being able to see where people are at and say, okay, this is what you're good at, Micah Parsons. Let me just focus in on that. Right. Okay, Randy, get down Gregory. This is what you're great at. Let me just focus in on that. And not trying to put these guys in obscure places and just being able to put the philosophy. You play the sport when you have a coach that can really put his hands on you and say, hey, these are the things that I want you to do. This is where you're supposed to be at. Going through the A gap. This is what I want you to do when you squeeze off the edge or when you got to go through the C gap. So I love it. I don't like it at all. I love it. And we've been missing that with the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. Because if you go back to last year, a lot of things were kind of getting these, moles in-house and things were starting to leak out is that this coaching staff doesn't teach. I don't know what they want. Like they're not hands-on. We saw Mike Nolan all the way up in the booth as a defensive coordinator. So it's like Dan Quinn being down on the ground, getting dirty with the players. I feel like that sentiment is kind of show through this Cowboys defense, and you're starting to see a lot of players rally around him. So now I want to dive into one player specifically, and you already mentioned this player, right? Randy Gregory. So he had an interview, I believe it was yesterday, right? And he's going to have his full season finally, no suspensions looming, knock on wood. And he kind of spoke about, self-care, self-love, taking care of himself, being in a better place mentally. So what is your thoughts on the expectation we should set as Cowboys fans for Randy Gregory? And what do you expect coming this upseason, getting a full season of some RG?
Smoke weed every day.
hey, now he can roll them up and blaze them off the field, and now he can blaze them on the field.
Right.
You got no restrictions. And when you have a clear mind and your mind is not clouded and you're not worried about, did I do this? And will I be able to do that? He don't have to worry about that now. And
Right.
I think that that's carrying him a long way. And let me just move that out the way, the mental part out of the way.
Right.
Did you get a chance to see him, his pictures there, Jay Tuck?
Right. He's looking good.
He looked like he been eating the weights. He's bigger. He looks like what 94 is supposed to look like. And on top of that, he just seems as if though he's ready to be that leader. He's ready to live up to his namesake.
Right.
And when we think about it, collectively speaking, coming out of Nebraska, he went to Nebraska, right?
Right, Nebraska.
If my memory served me correct.
Yeah. 2015.
Before all of the nefarious stuff, before all of the
Smoke weed every day.
he was considered, hear me out, Cowboy Nation, he was considered to be the quote-unquote top 10 pass rusher or a top 10 draft pick. But because of the off-the-field situation and scenarios, he was pushed back into the second round because he came into the OTA. What was the
Combine, right?
Combine.
He
Blaze.
failed the drug test. Hit that sound effect one more time.
Smoke weed every day.
You gotta be in a situation, bro, for you to come into the combine and pass the test. Like, you ain't even got your foot in the door yet. But
right.
Man, so Randy Gregory, yeah. So like I said, hopefully, man, he's in a much better spot.
Yeah.
And I feel like the upside, for Randy Gregory is tremendous, especially when you add him for a full season alongside DeMarcus Lawrence. So that's something I'm definitely excited about. But I wanted to chime in with the chat, man. I see the chat is lit, man. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. Shouts out to my guy, Professor O, in the building. What's going? He said 2 of my favorites. We appreciate that. Moving the chains in the house. Said, hey, kids, what's going on? We got my guy, D2W Stu. Salute Law Nation. What's up, Cowboys Nation? We got Dallas Cowboys Uncensored, man. What's up, fam? Definitely check out their channel. Let's see here. We got Young Green 585. Let's get it. Let's see here. My guy Nix Mendoza's in the house. Keith, man, I appreciate the super chat, man. I appreciate that for you. He says, can't wait for training camp. Be there. You gonna be there at training camp? You gonna be out there in Oxnard?
Oh yeah. We're gonna be there. Me, Shango, and possibly you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out there. Yeah. Man. So here's what we gotta do though, Law. Because they talked about it today. Like, the schedule is out there. It's in house. We gotta get that camp schedule, man. Because Mike McCarthy said the schedule is out for the media already have. So we got to get our hands on that schedule, man. But I'll definitely be out there in Oxnard, and I'm sure you're going to be out there, Shango. I talked to Sky, big game, James. Like, we all going to be out there, man. So it's going to be definitely a fun time, and I can't wait to camp. But I also want to dive into OTAs, right? So we had, the second day of OTAs, and you're hearing a lot of great things come out offensively, and especially about one of the most important pieces, Dak Prescott. So let me get your thoughts, man. How are you feeling about Dak from what you're hearing? Granted, he hasn't played much 11 on 11. It's Mike McCarthy said, of course, you want to protect your quarterback because I guess there was a situation where, one of the defensive ends, I think it was Basham, slipped and tripped and almost rolled into a backup quarterback's leg. You can't have that with Dak, right? So it's just been kind of 7-on-7 drills. But from what you've been hearing from your standpoint, Law, how are you feeling about Dak Prescott and his progress getting ready for the 2021 season?
The most important thing that I hear from Dak Prescott will be the fact that nothing to do with physically playing on the field, but what the love and adulation that coach is spitting out to the media, saying that Dak Prescott is a leader.
Right.
That goes a long way, not a short way, because I'm not trying to put Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers on his pedestal, but for a coach to say, hey, this guy's on the leadership role up there with those guys goes a long way. And I believe in every type of sport and anything that you do, you need that person that can command a team, that can get everybody on point and get everybody there. And I believe that is what Dak Prescott is bringing in. The wisdom, the understanding of the game, and people rallying behind said quarterback so that we can go far. Right. It's not about being the best quarterback. See, people fail to realize you don't have to be the best quarterback to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
I can go off a list of Brad Johnsons of the world, Nick Foles, Joe Flacco, Eli won
two of them.
Did Ty Detmer won a Super Bowl for crying out loud?
I think so.
I think even he got a Super Bowl ring.
Right.
And Big Ben Roethlisberger, when he won his 2 Super Bowls, he didn't put up gaudy numbers.
Right.
So I don't want people to fall into the traps. And even Tom Brady, for his first 3 Super Bowls, it wasn't like he was the best quarterback out there, right?
Right.
So what I want people to do is just look at Dak Prescott, the leader.
Right.
And if you put everything around him the way it is now, and if this defense can stay afloat, We going to the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
Don't crucify me. Don't crucify me. But thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be established. I'm just saying.
My guy talking Super Bowl already. I'm pumping the
Well,
break.
I know it's off season, but y'all get what I'm saying.
But every team going to the Super Bowl right now, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I hear Brown. A lot of my friends who are Browns fans, they talking Super Bowl. So if they can talk about Super Bowl, then damn it, we can too. But it is what it is. But yeah, man, just to echo everything you said, even they talked about, when Dak Prescott, and we had his press conference when he signed the deal, the leadership that he had during the Senior Bowl from till today. And Mike McCarthy spoke very highly about that today, saying this is Dak Prescott's team. He's our leader. He's the face of the franchise. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this about Dak. The one thing about Dak that, as you just mentioned, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, he's a leader without ego. Right. That's a lot different versus being, just a leader with ego, because sometimes not a lot of people buy into that. I feel like we won't see instances, and I talked about this earlier in the video, where Dak Prescott's, waving off Kellen Moore like, nah, I'm going to change the play. I'm going to do it my way. Now, he might talk to you after, but I think it's going to be open conversation where it's going to be a more collaborative, impact between Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy, and Dak Prescott. I don't see Dak Prescott being that type of player. And I think when the players kind of see that, they rally around it. You already see Kelvin Joseph, who's the defensive cornerback we draft at Kentucky. He's hanging out with Dak. He's doing charity events, different things with him and Michael Gallup. So he's kind of one of those guys you're just attracted to. And I feel like that's what we were missing last year when he went down in week 5.
Yes, indeed, that energy. Oh, correction, Trent Dilfer. Somebody pointed that out. Appreciate
Trent
you.
Dilfer, right.
Yeah. Shout out to you too, Keith, for making the donations over there to help elevate this thing.
Keep those donations coming. We appreciate all y'all support, Cowboys Nation. Now, another leader defensively, and this is a new guy that was spoken about today by Mike McCarthy, is Brent Urban. And he said that Brent Urban is one of those guys that when we lost Sean Lee and we also lost Crawford, we had to replace some veteran leadership in-house. I mean, granted, we still got DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, let me ask you this, because, do you consider DeMarcus Lawrence a leader per se, or is he one of those guys that just does things his way and the team kind of rallies around him? I don't see him as a vocal leader. What about you, Law?
Vocally, no.
Okay.
Media-wise, I think that I like it when he talk. I know his mom called in and told him like, hush.
Right?
Hush
Yeah. That's Saints game. That's Saints game. Like the mom told him to shut up. Like, hey, no, he's actually on to something. Let him go.
No, let him go. Let him talk. At least to the media, and that rallies up people. He don't have the gaudy numbers to really step up and have his chest out and be like, okay, this is what I do in the NFL, but he's great against the run. Y'all hear my word. He's great against the run. Not good. He's great. Right. He's great against the run. So that is some of the things that he brings to the table. Now with the Brent Urban that you mentioned, and I know he's going to play pretty much on the opposite side there. Right. I just think that if he can secure the cutback lanes and if he can penetrate the B or the A gap, wherever they have him at, he's long enough. He's 6'7" and he's 300 and I believe 8 or 9 pounds, give or take. I believe that he can penetrate better than Antoine Woods. Right. I believe that he will be better suited coming in better than what we had out of Justin Hamilton. I believe, according to Pro Football Focus, for crying out loud, they had him ranked 3rd in the NFL against the run. Right. And whatever that number is. Now, you guys can challenge them on their research or what have you. That's that. So all of those things spells out this. If he's able to come with that type of energy, tenacity, and approach to the game and beat his one-on-ones, then that's when you're going to see the Randy Gregories of the world, the DeMarcus Lawrence, free, able to beat their guys, because you can't double team everybody. And when you get tired of whooping up on the 6'7", 305 or 8, 9, whatever pounds he is, he's tall enough to give God a handshake, for crying out loud. Well, if you are that tall and now it's the 4th quarter or late 3rd, you play football, offensive linemen don't rotate. They don't. They stay in that spot. It's 5 versus 3 or 4, give or take. So they're going to stay there. Then we're going to do one of these things. Switch. So you got a guy named Big Bo gonna come in there. He 360.
Right.
Let me repeat. He 360.
Ain't no more running in Dallas. That's what he said.
Ain't no more running in Dallas, baby.
Right. Right.
So from there, that makes this team better. And newsflash, we got Colston, who's good against the run, as well as Osa,
right.
and one of the guys that you had on the preview on the introductory there.
Right.
So I'm not trying to sip out of the Kool-Aid or bring the Kool-Aid and make the Kool-Aid or whatever sprinkles all of the love and adulation for this team, but I just feel that this team is better than what we were last year.
Right. So you think roster-wise we are?
On paper and roster-wise, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I feel like that was what the draft really meant. It was we're adding layers of depth. Just as you mentioned defensively, when you have an Urban in there, you can bring in, a Bohannon, you can toss in Tristan Hill or Neville Gallimore, bring in Chauncey Golston or also like you toss more wood into the fire and keep things burning up front, which should help our secondary. And going back to DeMarcus Lawrence, like they spoke about earlier today, that Micah Parsons was actually working with DeMarcus Lawrence on pass rush moves. But they also mentioned Brent Urban was also working with DeMarcus Lawrence to impact and get some help on with his pass rush. And he said that DeMarcus Lawrence sees things from a different perspective, different angles, the way he uses his hands, because that's what it's really about, leveraging hands when you're rushing off that edge. And so DeMarcus Lawrence, he's kind of a quiet leader, y'all, because you really don't see him vocally, but he's one of those guys that you can definitely rally around. Now, I spoke about earlier Micah Parsons. So let me get your thoughts on Micah Parsons and what is the tone and the sentiment you have feeling from when we drafted Micah Parsons and how you feeling about him now, hearing what you're hearing from him coming out of camp.
All right, so when he was drafted, I said, hey, this kid is raw. He's a guy that's going to have to learn and pick up the particular system that the Cowboys are trying to implement. And seeing his tape, going back, looking at everything. One of the games that you can look at will be, what was the game? I want to say the Cotton Bowl game.
I watched it 100 times during draft season, but I mean,
it looks like it was two of them. Like, hey, they cheating. They got two number 11s out there, but it was only one. So some people 4.3 speed does not translate, but his 4.3 speed, you can see it. And he turns it on and he leaves it on like Tolos. Turn it on, leave it on. Shout out to 105.3, the fan. So my thing is, when you think of Parson, I look at him like, okay, they're going to throw him in the water and see if he's going to sink or swim at that Mike position. And you play linebacker, right?
Right, play outside.
Right, so that position, I believe linebackers in general is like one of the hardest positions to learn in the National Football League. Center, quarterback, tight end, and then you got linebackers. Those positions are not easy to learn and pick up. So they sitting there saying, like, we don't have time to waste with this guy. He's the number one draft pick. Let's throw him at Mike. Let him chase. Let him cover sideline to sideline. Let's work on his hook responsibilities as it relates to coverage. And when I looked at his Ohio State tape, when Penn State played against them, he did a decent job of looking down the field, watching a quarterback that can run with his legs, securing the run lane, and as well as covering the zones and the splits, and as well as covering the hook. So what we've been having issues with, Tucker?
A lot.
Quarterbacks that can run.
Get outside the pocket. Those bootlegs.
To get out of the pocket. Right. Now you got somebody like an assassin dog right here. Let me find my dog. Here's my dog. Now you got a dog.
Right.
You got a dog that
hunting dogs,
man. Teeth.
We got the wolf hunter and the hunting dogs out there, man. We'll see the dogs on you, but yeah, that's what Micah Parsons really brings to this team, and just he's a freakish athlete. I see someone saying on social media was like, he's like the Saquon Barkley of defense, right? And like because he played running back, people forget that he was a running back before he went to Penn State, so he has a lot of different intangibles and skill sets he can definitely bring, and just athleticism wise, he's a step above both what we currently have. So let's talk about the linebacker room, because the linebacker room, Law, is shrinking a little bit, right? So we got Parsons, we got, Jalen, the new refreshed number 9. You still have Van Der Esch in house. We also brought in Jabril Cox, which was one of my favorite draft picks as well. And then you also have Keon O'Neal, who's been in that weight room eating a whole bunch of, I need to get on whatever Keon O'Neal's weight plan is. I need to get on that, because that boy, he put on some size, man. So what is your thoughts? Because I know that the hot take today was that Micah Parsons and Keon O'Neal took a bulk of the reps. Now, I want to say this, it's 7-on-7. So typically in 7-on-7, there's a lot of passing going on. And so I don't expect to see Jalen and Leighton Vander Esch out there in nickel on passing downs frequently. So that was probably the reason why. But Cowboys Nation, we like to run with different narratives and just, cause whatever. So what is your thoughts on how Dan Quinn will utilize these linebackers moving forward?
From my understanding, Parsons will be the linebacker that never leaves the field, right? He's going to be a 3-down guy, and he would never leave the field. Everybody else would be rotational.
Right.
And I like it because it keep things fresh, especially if you're dealing with a situation, whereas if you're going against a team that's pass happy and you need some positional flex, maybe you can just sick Parsons as your blitzer and you can substitute the Mike. So I don't know if Neil will play that Mike in substitutions roles or however you call it, sub roles or what have you. But I do like the fact that Neil is already comfortable with the system. Neil is already knowing what Quinn want out of this defense. So I'm pretty cool with that. But let me flip it on you. How do you really feel about number 9? What's your thoughts on him?
I actually have a video about to come out soon on Jalen Smith. But what I'll say is this. When it comes to Jalen Smith, I'm not anti-Jalen like a lot of fans are, right? I feel like when you watch them coming in from 2020, because I think, like I was breaking this down in the video, right? Coming into last year, he was a top 10 linebacker. I think he was number 7 by PFF. Coming out of last year, I think he fell to like 44, right? And when I was breaking down the film on him, what really happened last year, y'all? A lot of hero ball going on, and rightfully so. I understand, like, you play the game, I play the game. If you're out there just getting dog walk, you're like, bro, this ain't working. Like, I ain't, nah. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to do what I think do instinctually to try to make something happen, because me running this defense, and there were so many times, Law, to be honest with you, I was watching film last year. I went back and watched the Giants game, which is one of Jalen's best games last year. But there was sometimes like, what are we running? There's like a wide 9. You had Jalen Smith shifted all over to the weak side. There's like 2 gaps wide. I'm like, it didn't make sense to me conceptually, right? And I feel like for the player standpoint, it was too much thinking, too much going on. So I really want to give Jalen Smith a mulligan, because even though as bad as things was last year, he still made plays. His tackles were still top in the NFL. So he's still a player. It's just, can you put him in the right position to really utilize his strengths? And I feel like that's what Dan Quinn is going to do. He's going to simplify things for Jalen and make things a lot easier, a lot less thinking. So I'm expecting him to be a lot better than what we saw this last year. So I'm not, anti-Jalen. I know he switched to the forbidden number. And Cowboys fans are like, that's off limits. But for the most part, I think he saw it. And I think Dan Quinn will find a way to utilize Jalen, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he will figure out a way. And for the life of me, even Mike McCarthy knows it, right? I seen them figure out a way to use A.J. Hawk. I seen them figure out a way to use Clay Matthews, for crying out loud, who had a pretty much good career over there in Green Bay land. And one could argue, I think some people were still banging on the table last year for Clay Matthews to come over here to Dallas Cowboys land. And my thing is, if you look at Jalen in his whole picture, like you said, most linebackers, they feed off the front. They get their keys. They figure out, okay, this is what my front is going to do. And if you look at, all you guys got to do is just type in Jalen Smith draft report or scouting report, and you will see where his issues at. And it was the same issues coming out of college. Getting off blocks, shedding blocks, and he got to play with a clean pad levels and these sorts. And that's the same thing with LVE. So you remove all of that and you put those problems right in front of him, he's not going to play that well. And that's the same situation anybody can say with any linebacker. When that offensive lineman, those big boys get to the second level, and you sitting there like, oh, wait a minute.
It's not nice.
Story.
I was the same way, man. When them big tackles get upstream to that second level and they get their hands on me, all right, bro. Like, all right. Like,
I mean, you might be good for the first quarter, right?
It wears you down.
It wears you down. Third quarter, you're gonna be like, oh, hell no, man. You want me run through this again?
No,
I ain't playing Force. No, switch.
6'7", 330. Like, nah, I don't do that, man. But people don't understand that conceptually. Law is like the defensive line is the offensive line for the linebackers, and there's some Cowboys fans. I mean, there's NFL fans in general. They just don't grasp that concept, and so I'm optimistic about not only Jalen Smith but also Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, you can kind of see the sentiments going around with LVE and these linebackers. Like, they know what's up. We can see it. They can see it. And so Leighton Vander Esch has this kind of a chip on his shoulder that he knows that he is going to have to perform because he has some young dogs, as he mentioned, sound the horn, sound the dogs, coming in and take his spot. And so I think they know that. So I think you'll see, accelerated play from the both of them, Leighton Vander Esch and also Jalen Smith.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to sully or denigrate the big Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis was one of the linebackers that everybody loved and cherished. Right. But I wonder, what he would look like without Tony Siragusa. Yeah. Or even he had some big boys like Sam Adams, I believe, or Madison at Sam Adams, I believe. He had some big boys up front that gobbled up and ate some of that stuff, and he was able to roam free. Right. I digress.
Because if you think about it, as a Cowboys fan, I can't even name the last serious run stopping one tech, that we've had. Like, it's been a long time. I mean, I'm trying to think who comes to mind.
Yeah, and even when you go back to the Legion of Doom, Legion of Boom, I meant to say, the Seattle Seahawks. Mm-hmm. They had some big boys up. Brent Maybank, big Maybank had big Maybank up front. Right. Causes those guys to roam free too. So we will see how this philosophy heading into 2021. Right. Now, of course, there will be some growing pains. I'm not sitting here saying that this defense will be lights out, shut down defense. Mm-hmm. I think this is just my thought on it, Tuck, is that this defense may not hit until after the bye week. The game, not the first game after the bye week, but the second game after the bye week. Right. And I like it because I don't want our defense to start off hot. Right. I want us to start off slow, get the continuity and rapport, and then build that momentum up. And then you look back and say, man, this Dallas Cowboys defense, boy, they hit.
Right. So I want to dive into one of my biggest question marks and concerns when it comes to the defense, right? And I think Pro Football Focus just ranked us 31st, actually. So they did us a slight favor, right? As far as the secondary is concerned. So where we stand as far as these corners, this corner specifically, we'll talk about the safeties here in a minute. How are you feeling about the cornerback position currently in Dallas?
Oh, my goodness. Diggs, I think that he's going to have a fantastic sophomore year. In general, they said Donovan Wilson is battling a knee situation. Right. KZ is doing his thing. Right. And I'm hearing good reports from him. Oh my goodness. Anthony Brown, I'm gonna knock on some wood because I'm not finna buy into it yet. Right. I hear stories that he's shutting down guys, getting in front of passes and blocking balls and these sorts of things. So I gotta see with my own eyes, Right. But he's projected to be the outside corner there, and hopefully during this OTAs over with, during training camp, boss man Fat, wake up, get ready, get out there, and be one of the guys that compete. Right. And now we will have that rookie, throw him in the deep end, and by, like I said, round week 8, week 9. Man, he can be backpedaling now. Right. He can be swimming real good. You can swim good when you can just swim backpedaling. Right. So maybe that will be the time when he get all of his feet up under him, just like Diggs. They threw Diggs out there last year. Right. Hopefully that will happen to us. And all of the other guys, Nashawn Wright, Maurice Kennedy, I want those guys to compete. And if they're going to put them inside the slot, let that happen. But that's some tall slot situation there. Right. Because you also got Jordan Lewis out there, and then you also have, Rashard Robinson now is going to be corner, for now, it sounds like he's going to be a cornerback in this Dan Quinn scheme. Reggie. Reggie Robinson. See, last year, I remember it was Rashard Robinson that was out there on the field. I was like, okay, Reggie Robinson out there. Like, bro, Rashard, like, what's going on? So, yeah, Reggie Robinson coming down to play a cornerback officially as well. So, you have some rotational guys, but I feel like, Law,
I just can't trust it. Like you said,
Right.
and that's how I feel like I'm having to really buy into Anthony Brown right now to turn up and be the savior right now on the outside. Now, I know we've been having reports about Nahshon Wright, who we drafted, on the 99th pick. And, a lot of people were kind of scratching their heads, self-included, when it comes to this pick. But they're hearing good things about him. But honestly, I'm feeling like I'm leaning too heavy on either him or Kelvin Joseph to be something special to make sure that we're ready. Because like we said, granted, it's going to be a slow play, and maybe around Thanksgiving or so or week 10, you'll start to see the cornerbacks really get their footing. But we got them dogs out the gate. You think about it, you got Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, hell, Tampa Bay even got my guy Jalen Darden out of. So it's like, here we're coming loaded, Gronkowski, and it's like, all right, how do we really match up with this offense out the gate? We got Kansas City, we got a lot of firepower earlier in the season. So I need somebody to really step up to be that cornerback too. And right now, I really just don't know. So me personally, I would maybe lean for a veteran, whether it's a Brian Poole, whether it's a Richard Sherman, but we all know when it comes to spending money, it ain't happening, Dallas. So.
It ain't happening, Captain. But I do like the new role that they're going to identify Jordan Lewis with, playing close to the box. They're going to do him just like they did with the Jamal Adams kid over there in Seattle.
Right.
They're going to put him close to the box. They're going to blitz him. They're going to drop him back in coverage and these sorts. So I can't wait to see it. It's all intriguing to us until we see it. And I believe it's going to be a brawl when we play against the joint practice with the Rams.
Yeah, it's the Rams. Oh, yeah.
I can't stand the Rams because they took us out one year. So it's going to be a brawl. It's going to be something like that. It's going to be very antsy.
You don't have Jalen Ramsey out there on Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb. Man,
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, bro. You don't have my guy Jalen Ramsey out there and CeeDee out there barking. Cam Akers, Aaron Donald, like Tutu Atwell, hell, Deshaun Jackson. It's gonna be feisty out there in Oxnard. Yeah, it's gonna be feisty. It's gonna be chippy, man. So, I can't wait to see it, man. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to. When I saw that,
hey, you know what I'm looking for? Aaron Donald versus Zach Martin again.
Oh yeah.
You
don't bang out. You know what I'm saying? You don't bang out. Like I said, I want to see that one chippy fight where whether it's Kelvin Joseph, whether it's Nahshon Wright, taking swings or blows out. Like, I like to see that tenacity out there and really set the tone for the season. Like, hey, we're not playing this year, man. And I feel like you can kind of see that go to the locker room. Mike McCarthy spoke about that. He's like, we fell short last year. It was our fault. We didn't do things the proper way. Mike McCarthy mentioned, with the COVID season, kind of Zoom sessions, they didn't take advantage of it like they really should have, but nobody really knew what to do last year. So they're really trying to revamp things. I think tomorrow's going to be the last day of OTAs. They're going to go on a break until we get to Oxnard, but the rookies will stay for rookie school for another week. They can kind of sit back, ask questions, and really get into the playbook, into the schemes before we head out to California, man. So, I'm very optimistic about this team, where we're headed. And, I'm not going to dive into predictions or anything like that, man, but I feel like things should be a lot better than what we saw last year, and that's the expectation for me, man. So I want to dive in the chat, man. I appreciate y'all rocking, man. Take a few questions with my guy Law, man. So keep the questions coming. Let's see here. So why couldn't Dallas figure that out? Why be different? We don't want the rookies to hit a wall week 10. I think they were talking about the us not having a one tech. It's kind of that traditional guy with their Saragusa. So why do you think that we haven't addressed the defensive interior position, specifically the one tech, and also the safety position? I'll toss that in there because it seems like, here we are again, so kind of question marks upon the free safety position.
Yeah, the philosophy, normally when you see different teams make emphasis on, maybe they go out there and go grab a big boy they can put inside, or they go grab a safety. Well, our general manager, Jerry Wayne Jones and John Stephen Jones, they didn't have nobody to answer to. So they can fall on the sword with their philosophy. They can go to the grave saying, okay, we don't need certain players, right? So, and that's just how it goes. It's hard to, look, you can take somebody who's making $50,000 a year, or just bump the number up a little bit more, $80,000 a year, and you try to tell them to do something, they're going to look at you and say, you can't tell me what to do. I make $80,000 a year. Or you take somebody with making $100,000. These Joneses, they make billions of dollars a year. You can't tell them what to do. So their philosophy is just like what Troy Aikman said. And I hate to bring this up, but I do know that if who's in here, Dallas Cowboys Uncensored, they can give you guys the unfiltered version of it, right? Because I seen in one of the episodes, they unfiltered over there. Troy Aikman literally said, we had to win in spite of the coaches.
Oh, man.
And unfortunately, this is what this team have to do. They have to win in spite of the Joneses. And I'm not trying to sully or denigrate Jerry Wayne and things, but It's just how it goes. So far as the philosophy of not going out there getting a true safety or a true one tech, hey, it is what it is. But hopefully we got Dan Quinn now who's working on one-on-one. They squeeze in Big Bo. Somebody corrected me. They said he's not 360 now. He's 330 pounds. But that's a start, right?
Right.
But they got him out there. They got Brandon Urban. Hopefully those guys can solidify the run stopping and we can get our linebackers to fly out and play freely.
Right. And I think what really set me off, after the draft on day 2, is we were all sitting together as a family watching that post-draft press conference, and Stephen Jones said, well, that old safety position, we just missed out again. We just can't. I was like, bro, you think it's funny? Like, I was like,
right.
Yeah, if you watched our draft show, Shots Up to the Star Gang family, man, I came unglued. I was like, all right, now you playing around, bro. So, we'll see. But like I said, I heard great things about, KZ thus far from Brian Broaddus mentioned to it that, KZ's not allowing anything over top. So that's a step up above, who we had in prior. And then also about J-Ron Kearse, who we brought in as a free agent as well. He's been playing well thus far. So, maybe one of these guys could be the diamond in the rough and become that guy because we desperately need it, especially in this single high coverage. Let's see.
Hey, before you go into that details y'all go follow J-Ron Kearse's Twitter handle. He taking things personally. He said, don't be showing me no fake love.
Right.
I like the chip on his shoulder right now because he feels like he's been sullied and denigrated. So he's saying that, hey, I am, because all of the praise is going his way. They saying he's stepping it up in practice, and he's showing out. They're not even mentioning Donovan because of his knee or what have you. Right. But they're saying J-Ron Kearse is stepping it up.
Right.
I like that tenacity.
Right, yeah.
When you go to a new environment, keep that. Look, well, you already know, Tuck. Keep that same energy. I love it.
Right, because here I'll say in Dallas, bro, you got to keep actually 2 chips because as soon as he gets his first interception, you're going to have Kearse jerseys. Especially at the safety position, bro. You get 2 interceptions game 1 versus Tom Brady. Oh, man, it's going to be bright lights. So keep that chip on your shoulder their entire season, man. So, yeah, I like that, man. Like I said, we've been saying this frequently. Hit the dogs. More dogs on this defense, man. So hopefully that's going to be what we see moving forward. I'm asking a question for my guy.
But just don't put a potato chip on your shoulder.
Right, not a potato chip. Yeah, no Lay's, bro. Like a real chip, man. You put a Lay's in there. Hey, that ain't work out to nothing. Hopefully he gets that tatted over. A guy Mo asked about Tony Pollard, and I dropped a video on this last night. And so, let me get your thoughts, man. How do you think that Tony Pollard is going to be utilized in this offense? So you think we're going to get this kind of same old, we're going to sit back next year saying, why isn't Tony Pollard getting more touches? Or do you think Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore are going to use him in a variety of different ways to keep him on the field in different situations and have more of an impact?
You make it to like all pro during the off season, believe it or not. Your war of attrition, of course, you got to fight that first. But this guy, Tony, he's been eating the weights, basically been in the gym, and he's been working out with plyometrics, calisthenics. He's been doing all of that good stuff during his off season. He's in tip-top shape. He's bigger now. He's faster, believe it or not, and he's going in and out of his cuts. He's reading even better. And, of course, he's getting a little bit more cocky because today in practice or what have you, he gave the 2 fingers up. He gave the So I love it. And I believe that steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. His workout regimen also woke up Elijah Elliott. He's probably looking at it like, man, this kid is hungry.
Right.
Oh, he's working out. Let me work out. Right. And I love it. It's contagious. So I think that Tony, how they're going to utilize him is just look up the word in the definition in the dictionary, nuances. That's what he's going to bring to the table. I think that Kellen Moore, who I blame for majority of some of these issues with the running backs, because he's still green, he's still fresh as it relates to calling running back plays. That's just my thoughts on it. He's just not that polished and poised with it.
Right.
Because think about this, and I know it's a long-winded question, though, answer to the question. But think about this. If you put Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard on the 49ers, would people have their would they have the same reservations, right?
Right.
I don't think so. So my thing is, I know. This offensive coordinator, he got to figure out ways to utilize Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott together.
Right.
This should not be third and fourth quarter. I want him to figure it out.
Right.
Third and fourth quarter. I want him to figure it out.
Right.
Kellen Moore, call better plays for these guys instead of reverse sweeps in the red zone, money zone, green zone, and get these guys going.
Right.
I think nuances is going to be Tony Pollard new key for this year. They're going to utilize him better.
Yeah, and like I said last night on the show, is like you can have Tony Pollard and Zeke on the field at the same time. What do you know, Cowboys fan? Because if you were to play him in the slot, and they sort of play in 2019 law is one of my favorite games when we play against the Rams, right? We had Tony Pollard out there on the field. He was in the slot position. He came down as the running back, and Zeke was the up back. He was the lead blocker, and, we led for like a 15-yard run with Tony Pollard. So there's different ways you can utilize him. And like I've been saying, he is our Tyreek Hill of this offense, but we just haven't unleashed them yet. So hopefully Mike McCarthy will. We got a good question I'm going to pass to you from my guy, Professor O. So he says, Law, any concern over the level of backup at the center position? We have Tyler Biadasz, has 4 career starts. Nobody else on the roster that really has any starts at the center position in the pros.
You got flexibilities. The Connor McGovern, he can play center spot, and I believe in a pinch, they can always pick up the phone and call Joe Looney and say, hey, man, get off the couch, man. Stop eating your oodles and noodles and come on over here and block for Dak Prescott.
Right.
And I think that he did a serviceable job in 2018. So in a pinch, I believe we are okay. And I think the other rookie, was it Fornock, Matt Fornock? Charged to my head, not my heart.
Right.
I think he can play some center roles. So we okay.
Right, yeah. And like I said, I think the thing, because our offensive line was ranked number 6 according to Pro Football Focus the other day, and I think what we saw is that we got layers of depth due to all the injuries that we had last year. We had Connor McGovern finally get some reps. We had Terrence Steele get some reps. We had Brandon Knight get some reps. So a lot of these players we've been kind of wondering about got a lot of quality reps last year due to injury. So I think there's going to be some flexibility. You also add, Josh Ball, who's one of the draft picks as well. So I feel like the second layer of the offensive line will be a lot better. It just feels like how can they maneuver those pieces? And like you said, I think that the question mark is still out on Joe Looney. But I feel like when it comes to Joe Looney, from what I've been reading, is either Dallas or old Jason Garrett might give him a call. So I feel like that's where he's kind of standing. So I think he'll come back to Dallas, as you say, for a cup of coffee, if they pick up the phone. So no questions, concerns with that. But let me dive in before I let you go. I want to keep you all night. The wide receiver position now, Mike McCarthy mentioned today there's been kind of a few injuries here and there, nicks and bruise. Mari Cooper, ankle injury, may be ready for camp. So how are you feeling where we currently stand with the wide receiver position, and how do you think this is going to work? Like, how many wide receivers, let me ask you this, do you think is going to be on the roster after we make that final cut?
Oh, my God. It's going to be a tight battle of the decision-making will be on Bone Fossil.
Okay.
Because of the special teams aspect of it. And I think that either you go with 5 wide receivers or 6, or you go with so many DBs. I don't know how all the DB number. I think one year we went with 11 or 10. So that's going to be the battle. Who can play special teams the best?
Right.
As far as this wide receivers, the Amari Cooper scenario, he had off-season surgery, and they don't want to rush him out there. So, they're going to put out the, yes, it's an ankle now. Or, yes, it's a hammy. Or, yes, it's this and that. They're trying to preserve him enough until maybe the preseason. And he might have a little light body work in the training camp. So he'll be working the chords. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let's not rush him out there.
Right.
I think that he's okay. I don't have any issues with him. He played every game, I believe, last season.
Right.
So he's okay. What we have to look into is, like, who's they going to kick off? Like, is it going to be Noah Brown?
Right.
Cedric Wilson? Or is it going to be Simi Fioku? Will it be TJ Vasher?
Right.
Who they going to kick off? Because I can tell you, Cedric Wilson, he gets a leg up on most of the people because of his special teams, right? And Noah Brown, I think he's like one of the gunners. So these rookies, Simi Fehoko,
Right.
as well as TJ Vasher. I think we got a guy named Brandon Eagles.
Right.
We got another guy from, I think from Iowa. I forgot his name, Brandon Smith or something.
Right,
We
right.
got Osiris Mitchell. We got a whole bunch of guys, TJ Vasher.
Right.
All of those guys got to show up.
Right.
That's who we're going to be looking at in training camp. And they can't have any sick days because that room is too loaded.
Right.
Crowded.
Yeah, exactly.
well.
And my guy Mo asked, about CeeDee Lamb going to return punts. Mike McCarthy said yesterday that, CeeDee Lamb is still going to be on punt returns. I think he got reps at punt returns today as well. Also, Trayvon Diggs got reps at punt return. Now, me personally, I'm cool with that, bro. Especially Diggs. Like, I can't lose CD or Diggs. Like, nah. They way too important for what we're trying to do next year to be returning punts. So I would personally would take them off and put a Simi Fehoko back there with one of these young guys that we got in the draft and see how that works out. And maybe they can make the special teams cut. But, they also mentioned that, CeeDee Lamb has been getting a lot of outside reps, but Michael Gallup has been getting a lot of reps inside playing the slot position. So I feel like what Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy are want to do is have interchangeable pieces when it comes to the scheme and move the three core guys, most importantly, around the board to create different mismatches. And so I'm excited to see how this all works. I know Michael Gallup came out and spoke with James Slater the other day about, he has a chip on his shoulder. He feels like this Dallas Cowboys offense is going to be one of the best in the NFL. Who can stop us? So I'm liking what I'm hearing as far as the wide receivers. We saw Amari Cooper beating up on a rookie in chest, man. So, the offensively, man, that's where I can kind of take off my shoes and relax a little bit. But this defense, I got to sit up in my chair, man. I got.
Oh yeah.
So
Offense, we good.
Yeah, offense, we good.
The thing is with Gallup finally lining back inside, and he did it a little bit in college, and of course in high school he was a actual quarterback, so he knows the soft spots in his zone. He knows what the quarterback is looking for, and he got a concept of it basically. Right. Same thing with Cedric Wilson. This guy used to be a quarterback as well. So my thing is, this is more nuances that I believe that this is from Mike McCarthy influences as well as Ben McAdoo influences. Because think about it. In Scott Lanahan's system, which is the variations of what Kellen Moore is running, he had it set up as X receiver on the outside. That's all you do. We're not going to line you up inside. You never saw Megatron line up into the inside. You never really saw Desmond Brown line up into the inside. It was big. I'm going to keep my wide out, my X receiver on the outside. Or even when he coached up Randy Moss, you didn't see Randy Moss line up into the inside for crying out loud. They got those guys in Scott Lanahan's system normally lines up on the outside as the X, and you had your other guys that help out and contribute. Now, when you look at the system, what Kellen Moore is running is the variations of that. We're just same play designer, almost like what Garrett and Scott Linehan was running. But the only difference that he did was he motioned the guy. Maybe he motioned the tight end to the weak side. Or right before the snap, he motioned the running back out of the backfield for crying out loud and give you an empty formation. So my thing is with the West Coast, you maybe see more drag routes. Maybe you see Gallup running more drags and you keep CeeDee Lamb on the outside. Maybe right before the snap, you give him that look and now you kick CeeDee Lamb back inside. So there's so many things. And then, of course, we all know at the end of the day, teams still roll coverages toward Amari Cooper's way. So all of these nuances are set up and designed to manipulate the defense to see how you can get your receivers open better.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand that because you see Amari Cooper got a lot of hate, but if you watch the game, they're still focusing on him as the primary, which opens up everything else for the other wide receivers. And, April mentioned, Simi going to get snatched if he goes to the practice squad. Yeah, nah. He ain't going to the practice squad.
He ain't going.
Yeah, he ain't going to the practice squad. And then my guy, Mom, asked you one last question, and I saw my guy Skywalker tweet about this earlier. The tight end position. So how are you feeling when it comes down to the conversation between Dalton Schultz and also Blake Jarwin? Do you think that it's a possibility that Dalton Schultz could overthrow Jarwin and be our tight end number one? Because, of course, Jarwin won't be ready until maybe, mid-camp, if that. But you're kind of hearing things kind of come out that Dak was in sync with Dalton Schultz. And Dalton Schultz is more proven, to be honest with you, than Blake Jarwin. So how do you feel about that tight end position?
Well, what Schultz had north of 50 receptions. He had north of 500 yards last season, and he had 4 touchdowns. And that's not bad numbers, by the way.
Right.
And he averaged, I believe, 10 yards per catch or something like that. So that's pretty good. Right. And especially looking at the type of quarterbacks that was throwing him the rock. Right. And I think that and we know he can block.
Right.
You know, he can block, so he can be that tight end that maybe you can use as trade bait, which the Cowboys never do. Right. They don't believe in trading their players, by the way, Cowboy Nation. So as far as Blake Jarwin, this is a big offseason for him, especially training camp. He got to show up and show out. 89 got to showcase, hey, I need to be here, because if not, we picked up a guy named Sprinkles, and we picked up I guess McKeon. He's showing everybody, hey, he can wear number 84, right? I think that's what he's wearing. He can wear number 84 and shine here and there. So it's a loaded room as well in that spot.
Right.
And I'm thinking that Mike McCarthy, people fail to realize he don't have like he's really not that bought in or sold in on Jarwin, right, because he's from the previous regime. So Jarwin got to tell everybody, okay, hey, don't count me out. I'm ready to showcase to the world that I belongs, but he got to prove it out there on the field.
Right. Like I said, people understand, like, Blake Jarwin is not a Mike McCarthy guy. So, you know, you just have to see how things work out. But I feel like it should be an open competition. I feel like there's going to be any spot on the offense where it's kind of open and may the best man win. I think that tight end position will be it. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Definitely keep our eye on that during camp. But Law, bro, I appreciate you for tuning in, joining us with the CFO gang, man. Like I said, you're one of the good guys out there, man. I know we talk off cam a lot, man. I can't wait to do more work with you, especially link up out there in Oxnard. Now, for the people who live under a rock, right, and don't know, where can they find you, man?
Well, they can find me at LAWS Nation on multiple platforms, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, as well as 2 YouTube pages. And we on a Newsbreak app, and it's under that same handle, Law Nation or Law Nation Sports. You can check out my website, lawsnation.net. You can check out that website, and we got beautiful content there. Most of all of the things that I post on various websites, even on TikTok. I just had to restart and relaunch a TikTok channel, which is LAWS Nation 24. So Laws Nation 24 on TikTok. So I'm everywhere, Cowboy Nation, and y'all can check me out on those platforms, and I can give you guys some of my content.
Yeah, man, one of the hardest working men in the business, man. I definitely appreciate you. And for those watching me for the first time, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Everybody for rocking with me in the chat. Of course, J Tuck. You can follow me on my YouTube channel, Cowboys Fans Only. So go ahead, hit that like and that subscribe button and turn that notification bell, because sometimes we just do shows. We drop content nonstop, man, especially here in the off season, because things are always coming so rapid. So you definitely don't want to miss out. Also follow me on Twitter at JTuck151, of course. And then also you can go to CowboysFansOnly.com. Use the code CFOGANG to get 10% off your merch, man. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for all your support, man. My guy Law. Sound the dogs one more time, man. Sound the dogs one more time.
Oh yeah.
Got the dogs and the wolves, man. Hopefully that's what the defense will represent this year, man.
Tuck, get your dog, man. Your dog everywhere.
Get the dogs, man. Get the dogs. I'm letting the dogs off the leash, man. The way our defense was last year, I want all dogs off the leash, man. So they out there, man. Don't come into our yard. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Everyone stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged. Let them dogs loose. Let them dogs loose one more.
Let's go.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.
Yeah.
Impressive.